please. Where my stuff back there?
Don't be afraid. I want you to know that you're safe. My name is Dr. Hendrik Juliet Easterman, and I'm your friend. I'm your help to guide you through. It's going to be painful, but at the end of this journey, you'll be reborn. A whole new you.
Oh,
We're all going to
who's
get
this lab
better
rat then?
together.
It's all right here. These are all the belongings recovered from your person. This is a collection of your public records, along with the investigatory information about your private life. Well, you've got some secrets, don't you? Naughty. As the restraints make a signature impossible, please acknowledge that you consent to these collections. Thank you. Not bad looking, to be honest.
If you go for that type.
Well, I ain't never been that picky.
I just hate seeing their eyes.
Hello everyone. If you're watching this video, you must be brand new here to the Sinyala Facility. Well, don't you worry, because I've been here since the closed beta back in October of 2022, so I know my way around the place. I know you're probably very confused on what's going on, why exactly you're here, what you're supposed to be doing here, and how exactly do we get out of this place. Well, don't you worry, new reagent. I got you covered with answers to all of those questions. So with that being said, let me, a unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast Trials, give you an unforgettable tour of the Sinyala Facility and explain everything that's going on here. So with that being said, let's hop in the trial shuttle and allow me to set the mood.
You said escape was impossible.
Welcome to the Outlast Trials, a multiplayer horror experience like no other. And that's right, I said multiplayer and Outlast. But this isn't an asymmetrical horror game like the others, like Dead by Daylight or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Unlike those games, you don't get to pick to be a killer. Here, you're a reagent, a hopeless person, a person without reason that's so down on their luck that they reached out to the Murkoff Charitable Outreach Center for therapy to help better yourself. And just because you reached out for help, you've wound up here with me, so don't you feel gullible. But that's okay, because we're here to get through this together. But what exactly are we getting through together? And when I say together, we don't always have to do this together. One of the most unique parts of the Outlast Trials is the multiplayer survival aspect. But if that's not your cup of tea, and you prefer doing this all by yourself, that's totally an option, as you can play any level in the Outlast Trials completely solo, and the amount of objectives you'll have to do will typically scale when you play solo, so it's less daunting for one person to have to deal with. So, how exactly do we get into these trials? Well, in the main lobby of the game, otherwise known as the sleep room, you'll go up to the terminal and select the trial or MK that you would like to play. But before we go into the horrors that await us in the trials, let's see some of the fun stuff that we can do around the sleep room. We can play chess. We can play the entire Survivor gameplay loop of Dead by Daylight, built right into the lobby of the Outlast Trials. We can test our brain with the Stroop test. We can go 1-for-1 in ping pong. And most importantly, we can rebirth. Rebirth. I know this video is about a horror game, but on a real note, I hope every single one of you as a person is doing well. Life can be very difficult and hard sometimes, and can really bring you down as a person. But I believe every single one of you have the strength to pick yourselves up and be the absolute best version of yourselves that you can possibly be. Never give up, and always remember, no dream is too small, and the only one who can take the initiative is you. Rebirth. But more on that later. After we have all the fun we'll have playing the games around the sleep room, we can finally go back to the terminal and select the trial or MK challenge that we would like to play. But firstly, let's go over the difference between a trial and an MK challenge. A trial is a main level that requires multiple objectives to be completed and typically has a giant fully open map that typically takes around 45 minutes for unexperienced players to complete. But once you become an unrenowned goat of the Outlast trials like myself, you'll chop that time down to 20 minutes in no time. But on the other hand, MK challenges are typically set in the trial environments, but are modified to be a little bit different, closing off certain areas or straight up adding new ones that weren't seen in the original trial. These are on a smaller scale, with only one objective needing to be completed, and these typically only take around 15 minutes to be completed. But once you become an unrenowned goat of the Outlast trials like myself, these can be completed from anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on which one you're playing. So, now that you know the difference between a trial and an MK challenge, let's go over the 10 unique trial environments that these twisted trials can take place in. Now, please keep in mind that the Outlast Trials is a live service game, meaning additional trial environments and content will be added to the game after this video is released, leaving it outdated in a couple months. But, at least for now, I'm going to cover everything that's currently in the game as of Season 4, Update Deep Burn. So with that being said, let's go over the current 10 trial environments, starting off with... Welcome to the Farewell Mansion. This is where the tutorial to the Outlast Trials will take place. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Outlast Trials can be played solo or up to 3 other players, but the Farewell Mansion is the only trial environment that can only be entered in solo. Here, you'll be taught the very basics to the game, like how to do objectives, how to hide from enemies, how to use your night vision, how to heal, all that jazz. You'll also be introduced to a couple key enemies, but we'll go more in depth about those lovable sociopaths wanting to kill you a little bit later. But all I'm gonna say is that Franco can go fuck himself. After you destroy your public and private records, you'll be sent to the sleep room for the very first time, and from there, you'll enter your very next trial environment.
You are the exterminator. Only we can tell you what is true. There is a snitch inside the prison, preparing to testify against our truth. Kill the snitch, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the police station. Your very first time here, we should be doing the main trial known as Kill the Snitch. So now that we're actually in one of these main trials, I can finally start to explain what exactly we'll be doing here. Me and you will be given a series of sick and twisted objectives that we'll need to complete, ranging from stuffing cocaine into corpses into going through the process of turning a living person into a melted wax sex doll amalgamation. But in this specific trial, Kill the Snitch, we'll be needing to export the snitch from his holding cell to the other end of the police station to his execution chamber, escorting him along the way, dealing with any setbacks that might happen along the way, while also collecting keys that are blocking the pathway to his execution chamber. And while me and you are trying to complete our objective, we have a colorful cast of external population in the trial environment with us that are very eager to kill us. But thankfully, scattered throughout the trial environments are things to help us in our therapy. Medkits containing health and bandages to heal, adrenaline to run faster, antidotes to cure ourselves, lockpicks to help us break locks, technical boxes that can supply us with batteries for our night vision, and rig rechargers, but we'll talk about rigs a little bit later. And if we're really lucky, we can find the Holy Confidential Room. And if we find the confidential room, we'll just have to press a button at the same time and it will open. But if you're by yourself, just click both the buttons quickly and it will open. Or, better yet, if you're an unrenowned goat of the Outlast trials like myself, you'll be using Jammer and you'll have that door open in no time. So, what exactly is in the confidential room waiting for us? Well, a health booster that will give us an extra bracket of health, a battery booster that will significantly increase our night vision, a stamina booster that will give us additional stamina, and a master key that can unlock anything super easily, and a bunch of healing and technical items. And with supplies like this, we'll complete any trial because we're unrenowned goats. But once we finally escort the snitch to his execution chamber and execute him, it will finally be time for us to get out of here and get back to the trial shuttle and call it from there, and we can escape and finally head back to the sleep room. Now, I bet that was a lot of information to take in, and you're probably really scared and horrified to ever set foot back in that trial shuttle. Well, too bad, because we're going to be going back shortly. But before we do, there's more to the sleep room than just those fun minigames I talked about earlier. At the beginning of the sleep room, this is where you'll find the pharmacy. This is where you'll be able to upgrade your reagent with pharmaceuticals that will make your life in the trials 10 times easier. On the other end of the sleep room, however,
Hello? Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then chances are you've made a very poor career choice.
this is where you'll find the parts and service section run by Noakes.
Surprise, motherfucker!
This is also where you can find the rigs that I mentioned earlier. These are the most important tools that will help us within the trials. There's quite a few of them that all do their own unique things and that can all be additionally upgraded to be even stronger. There's quite a few to choose from. You have stun, blind, heal, x-ray, and the personal MVP and notable tool for unrenowned goats of the Outlast trials, the Jammer. There's also the barricade, but no one really uses the barricade. And lastly, you can have a conversation with Doris in the cafeteria here. She'll sell you some secret contraband that will give you huge game-changing buffs, but you can only pick 3 to have active at once. And now that you're just a little bit stronger, I hope you're ready to get your ass back in the trial shuttle because we're going to be doing this a lot. But before we go, let me whip your ass and chest really quick just in case we don't survive, and we'll be on our way. Good thing we wrapped that up just in time, because the trial shuttle's here, so let's go to our next trial environment. So, while we're waiting in the trial shuttle to get to the trial environment, I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you about all the different enemy types that we can encounter in the trials. They're referred to as the external population, but you can just call them XPOP for short. There's quite a few of them with their own unique abilities and tricks to watch out for. Starting off with grunts. They're kind of like reagents before reagents. You see, before the Murkoff company started testing the trials on random people down on their luck like me and you, they were getting mentally unstable people from Mount Massive Asylum. Yes, that asylum to put into the trials, and obviously that yielded horrible results. They're the most basic cookie cutter enemy that you can think about, your basic chaser. Nothing really too special about them, but moving on to their big brothers, we have the big grunts. They're just like the regular grunts, but a lot bigger. So you can imagine their punches pack way more of a punch. But if you think that would hurt, you should meet their cousins, the Berserkers. The Berserkers are just like the big grunts, but have their eyes covered, so they heavily rely on sound to find you. And additionally, they have giant metal spike contraptions around their arms and wrists just to make sure they kill us. But we need to be extremely careful when running away from the external population because we might just run ourselves right into a pouncer. Pouncers are the definition of jump scares the enemy. They'll hide in available hiding spots and typically be heard mumbling to themselves, and if you get too close, they'll jump out scaring you and attacking you until you hit them off, where they'll just cowardly run away. But if you have a bottle or a brick, you can knock them off quick. But be very careful on who you let pick you up off the ground, because I can't believe I wrote this, but there are imposters among us.
Is this Among Us? Imposter? Is this the imposter from Among Us?
Yes, this is me, imposter.
Hello everyone. I fear, as of update Deep Burn, the imposters have gotten quite scared of the trials. Apparently, because when I was going through the checklist of everything I need to record for this video, playing over 10 plus hours to gather footage, every time I saw an imposter, they would just leave immediately, not allowing me to record the footage I want. Now, at first, I thought they were just bugged, but I believe this is going to be used for lore implications on how the imposters are going to be replaced with the PvP game mode alongside the invasions variator, which sounds like imposters are going to be real players instead of AI. But because that content isn't out yet, if any of you would like a guide to the Outlast Trials PvP when it releases, please let me know down in the comments. But with that being said, let's go over what imposters currently do.
Is this Among Us? Imposter?
Imposters will dress up as one of your friends in the trial and walk around acting friendly, even trying to give you items. They can typically be outed because their usernames will be spelt just a little bit differently. But as you play the trials on higher difficulties, usernames will be turned off by default, making it nearly impossible on some occasions to be able to differentiate an imposter from your teammate. But if you get too close to them, they'll remind you that they are not your teammate. So when you pick yourself up off the ground, be very careful on how much noise you make as well, because you might alert the screamer. The screamers will stand around with large audio devices on them, and if you make any noise near them at all, they will scream so loud, making you drop any objective items and alerting any external population nearby. And when other external population gets involved, it will probably be a heated situation. With all the sociopaths here, you would obviously expect there to be at least one pyromaniac. Oh wait, there is! So you better get out of there quick before the pitcher gets there and fills the room up with fire and burns you to a crisp. Problem is though, try not to run to a dark area, because even though no one else can see you, and we're actually at an advantage because of our night vision, the Night Hunter also believes he's at an advantage because of his night vision. So he'll be able to hunt us perfectly in those dark areas that we feel so comfortable in. So let's run back to the light and we'll be safe. That is unless that lighted area has a pusher. Then, looks like we're getting pumped with hallucinogenic gas. And once enough of that gets into our system, our perception of reality will start to change. Our audio will get distorted, and we will begin to see the Skinner Man, a skeleton figure in a suit. He'll start to pursue us, draining our life the closer he gets. But thankfully, if we just find an antidote in time, we can cure ourselves of this nightmare concoction. Or, alternatively, if you're feeling brave enough, you can try to outlast the Skinner Man. You see what they did there? Outlast? And now that we're finally safe and drug-free, that makes up all of the external population. Shit! Fuck. Not her. Not right now. Fuck. Sorry, new reagent. I gotta go.
Hello everyone. Despite what Liminalixie said about being an unrenowned go to the Outlast trials, he forgot to mention the most important X-Pop of them all, the Jaeger. And by the sound of that alarm, you can be sure she's hunting him down as we speak. Every time you hear that alarm, the Jaeger will spawn in a randomly selected reagent in the trial. From this point, the Jaeger will always know where the selected player is at all times and will slowly be approaching their location like a stalker type enemy, and will ignore all other players. If you're being hunted by the Jaeger, Don't bother hiding. And if she does find you, she will always grab you and insta-kill you. And by the looks of it, that's what's happening to Liminal Ixie right now.
Oh no. Oh no. Fuck. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh no. Help me. Help me, please. Oh no. Fuck. Fuck, man. That was a crazy trip. They pump us full of a bunch of hallucinogenic gas before we even enter the trial environments. I thought I died there. But thankfully, now you know all about the X-Pops in the trial environments waiting to kill you. But before we go into the trial environment, we need to have a very, very important conversation about prime assets. So let me introduce you to the very first prime asset, Sergeant Leland Coyle.
You've shown real enthusiasm. We've decided to give you a longer leash.
You think you got a leash on me? Might be you built this little who's got out, but I'm the one who made it a home. Why, you ain't nothing but the towel boy in my whorehouse.
This is science. If we happen...
I'm fucking talking here! This ain't a charity! This is business! Business don't mean shit without the law. Property don't mean shit without a threat of violence.
Sergeant Leland Coyle is a former U.S. Marine, member of the KKK, and police sergeant, and because of his police
Brutality!
and severe strength and charisma, he was chosen to be one of the prime assets. Leland Coyle is currently the main prime asset for two of the trial environments, that being Police Station and the Courthouse. And while in those trial environments, he'll chase you down with his electrified baton that he fashioned out of a modified car battery, and if he manages to hit you, he'll temporarily put your rig on cooldown. But don't worry, we don't need to worry about him, at least not for a little while longer, as I fear Coyle isn't the prime asset of the trial environment we're heading to. We're going to be dealing with someone a little bit more unhinged.
You've been expressing anger in the therapy.
Everything Mother does is love. If I have to show a little discipline, that's just a firmer kind of love. What do you think I am? Some kind of puppet? You pull my string?
You're literally a puppet.
Don't you upset Daddy. They're in the name of God in the midst of hearts of little children. Who would die for their children?
Mother Gooseberry is a formal dental assistant to her father, Mr. Futterman. Mother Gooseberry would put on shows for the children to help keep them calm while going through their dental procedures. She would pick up a lot of popularity and eventually host a TV show called the Mother Gooseberry Hour. But unfortunately, after the passing of her father, Mr. Futterman, she went a little bit crazy, slowly turning the children and the TV show into a cult where she would go on to use it to commit a huge mass murder. Her personality is broken up between herself as Mother Gooseberry and as her father, Mr. Futterman, who she'll have full-blown conversations with as herself. Both of these personalities lapse into a lizard brain rage, but thankfully, Mr. Futterman has been brought back in the form of an arm drill that Miss Futterman wears.
Oh, who invited Zara to my daughter's tunnel?
Oh, everybody's invited in, Dr. Daddy. It's a place so wonderful, nobody ever thought to leave.
But be very careful of that Mr. Futterman drill, as if she stabs you with it, it will cause you to bleed, and that bleed effect can only be stopped by healing yourself with a bandage. And because of her past and her influence, she was chosen to be a prime asset for the trials. Mother Gooseberry is currently the main prime asset to 3 of the trial environments: Orphanage, the place we're heading to now, Fun Park, and the Toy Factory, places we'll discuss later. There are currently 2 other prime assets, but we'll talk about them later when we reach their trial environments. But, just in case you can hear me, Franco, you look like such a fucking bitch when you get humiliated by your stepmom. And since we're speaking of prime assets and trial environments, As you can probably tell, the trial environments are based around the prime assets. For example, don't expect to see Gooseberry in the courthouse unless it's prime time, something we'll go over later. So, with that being said, let's go into the next trial environment.
Education and faith must follow our mandates. Children will learn obedience. Shape them young, and they're ours for life. Teach the children. Give them First Communion, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the Orphanage. Here we're going to have to deal with Gooseberry as we attempt to cleanse the orphans by doing this huge list of chores like turning on frequencies, switching films in classrooms, doing generators, and casually sawing the legs off this sinner, and then we must make our swift escape. And as I mentioned earlier, there are also MK challenges that take place in the same trial environments, but have you doing smaller scale objectives. And to give you a sense of what you'll be doing in each one, I'll quickly go over them. Feed the Children of God has us going around the orphanage collecting toxic chemicals to create a soup for the children. Foster the orphans, more like foster the people, just requires us to complete a couple frequency bubbles scattered throughout the orphanage. Gather the Children of God has us looking through the orphanage for children to abduct in our van outside. And lastly, reunite the family. As the name states, we're going to go into this orphanage and reunite the perfect family. Oh, but don't worry, the fun doesn't end with Futterman, because after we're done with the orphanage, we'll be moving straight on into the next trial environment.
You are an adult. The youth will not obey our orders and must be corrected. There are children murdering adults in the root canal. Punish the children, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the fun park. Starting off with the main trial, Grind the Bad Apples, has us going around playing carnival games? Okay, sweet. Looks like we're going to be having a fun time, new reagent. After that, we'll gain access to the main attraction of the park, where the group of bad apples are and must be pushed to their punishment. And once we're done with the trial, we'll be moving on to the MKs for the fun park, like Punish the Miscreants, which has us going around the fun park, collecting kids to throw in a giant wood chipper, every kid's favorite attraction.
This attraction is great!
Open the Gates has us going around pulling batteries out of sockets to eventually open up all the gates to escape the fun park. Drill the Futterman requires us to go around hitting the targets in the root canal to eventually clear a path where we can kill this poor man dressed up as Mr. Futterman. Deface the Futtermans is exactly like Drill the Futterman, but takes place in an outside area of the fun park where we just need to hit all the Futterman targets to open the gate to our escape. And lastly, Redeem the Freedom has us going around collecting tickets, and thankfully, these tickets pay the price to our freedom, allowing us to escape the fun park. But now that we've finally escaped the fun park, we'll be moving on to our next trial environment, and I sure hope you miss Sergeant Leland Coyle, because he'll be waiting for us.
You are justice. You are loyal. We cannot allow the tyranny of facts and impartial reason to condemn the people who protect and guide you. The past is changeable. The future is set. Sabotage the court, kill the judge, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the Courthouse. The Courthouse's main trial, Vindicate the Guilty, has us participating in a sick court hearing, having us collect evidence, destroy evidence, kill witnesses, and even execute the judge. The MK challenges for the courthouse, like Escape the Courthouse, has us needing to track down witnesses and blow their brains out, needing to fuel our escape. Destroy the evidence, like the name states, has us going around destroying evidence in the courthouse. Tilt the Scales of Justice has us going around completing Darklight puzzles to collect heads to put on a scale. Fuel the Release requires us to do 3 generators in the courthouse, and when I tell you sometimes I feel like despite playing a different game, I'm doing the same objectives, I might just be going a little crazy. And lastly, Sentence the Prosecuted has us going around with code decryptors, needing to find the codes in the courthouse to be able to turn on the machine to sentence the prosecuted. And after the courthouse, we'll be moving on to our very next trial environment, where it seems we're going to be reunited with a certain loving mother.
You are the Revelator. What you build exposes the perversion latent in every heart. We cannot allow hidden messages and innuendo to corrupt our children. Expose, humiliate, and destroy the deviant, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the Toy Factory. Here we're going to be doing the main trial, Pervert the Futterman. This is one of my personal favorites, as we're going to need to break into the toy factory and start the process of turning this poor sexual deviant into a human Futterman sex doll. And when we're all done, we're going to take him down to the basement and burn this fucker alive, and then we need to get the hell out of here while we question what the fuck we just did. But don't get caught up on it for too long, because we got some MKs to do, like crush the sex toys, where we'll need to turn on some black lights, grab the right boxes, and move them throughout the factory on conveyor belts to crush them at the baler. But if crushing sex toys isn't your cup of tea, we can always just incinerate them. And in Incinerate the Sex Toys, you'll never guess what we need to do when we're pushing a cart to the very same furnace where we burnt that man alive, and I'm sorry, but I can't quite forget about it. But at least we can finally shut down the factory and shut down the factory, where we need to go around the factory to different sections of the factory and flick electrical panels to start the powering down process of the factory. But good luck on getting out of the factory once the factory is fully powered down. And lastly, we're going to need to fumigate the factory and fumigate the factory, where we're going to need to enter the basement of the factory and start the process of gassing the entire factory. And I sure as hell hope you didn't take a shot every single time I said factory, or you're surely going through liver failure. And that wraps up our time here at the Toy Factory. But before we head on to our next trial environment, let's quickly go back to the sleep room. Are you traumatized enough yet, new reagent? Well, I sure hope not, because we still have 4 more trial environments to go through together. So I'm counting on you to get through this one with me, and I'm gonna need your emotional support, new reagent, as we're gonna be entering the docks, which is a very scary place. Why, you might ask? Well, if you remember, there are still 2 more prime assets that you need to meet. And since we're heading to the docks, it's probably about time you get familiar with Franco Barbi.
The miracle of birth. We have a beautiful, innocent baby.
A new archetype of appetite and childish dependence. Franco Barbi. A gangster and murderer. A trafficker. Franco is a man-child who would use heroin to infantilize the world. His psyche centered around a totem, a powerful symbol to compensate for painful deficiencies.
You're talking about the gun.
Yes.
That seems unreasonably dangerous.
Franco Barbi, otherwise known as El Bambino, is a gangster mafia asset to the Martino crime family, as he's the son of Don Salvatore Barbi. So he's got to be some sort of big shot, right? No. To be brutally honest, none of that really matters, because Franco is an ugly piece of shit who can fucking choke on his pacifier while he's trying to jerk his shit downtown.
A good time.
Yeah, you filthy pampanados!
Genuinely, if I could curb stomp Franco's face into the fucking ground, I would do so at any given opportunity, and I would punch his face into a fucking bloody pulp. Franco is the main prime asset to 3 of the trial environments: the docks, downtown, and the suburbs. He could also be the main prime asset of the biohazard waste facility if God ever feels so merciful enough to strike down this gun-wielding man-child. Speaking of gun-wielding, it's very important to note that Franco has a fucking gun that he calls his Lupara. But don't worry, he's not shooting you with live ammunition or anything. Just scraps of teeth of other dead reagents, but I don't know if that's going to make you feel any better. But with that being said, let's head on to our next trial environment.
You are the surgeon's knife, and where you meet flesh, blood and pain must follow. We are the surgeon's medicine, who regulate pain and death. Poison the supply of those who would ease pain, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the docks. Here we're going to be doing the main trial, Poison the Medicine, which requires us to manufacture a lot of cocaine, transport the cocaine, then poison the cocaine, then store the cocaine in dead bodies. But after that, we'll be moving on to the MKs, and in Empty the Vault, we're going to need to go around deciphering codes to break into Franco's vault and steal his precious titty milk.
Oh, now you want to take away my milkshakes too, huh?
Then we're going to need to poison the cattle, and I don't even know if we can call this cattle, but moving on to stash the contraband, we're going to need to go around putting even more cocaine in even more dead bodies. And lastly, cook the informant has us needing to cook the informant by blowing his fucking brains out, just like those suckers we did at the courthouse. Now, I wish we could say this is where we don't have to deal with that son of a bitch Franco anymore, but as we go to our next trial environment, I fear we will.
You are a gentle hand, and you are a crushing fist. You give pleasure when lust is the lubricant of power. You give pain when violence is the fountainhead of control. Replace the prosecutor's whores with assassins, and we will let you out.
Welcome to downtown. Here we're going to have to do the main trial, Pleasure the Prosecutor, which is personally one of my least favorites. We're going to need to go into the theater and throw away the kinky mannequins and replace them with assassin mannequins. But in order to get the assassin mannequins, we're going to have to do the most annoying objective this game could ever conjure up. But once we finally get all the assassin mannequins, we're going to need to play a game of Simon Says. But sadly, this game of Simon Says won't help us launch a rocket from the moon to destroy the Earth.
Noise up in the sky. That a rocket from the moon?
But instead, something a little bit more boring, like assassinating the district attorney. But the MKs that we'll have to do downtown are a little bit more interesting, like Kidnap the Mistress, where we're gonna have to do some detective work to figure out which one of the sex workers committed the murder and bring them to justice. And after that, we're going to need to go around collecting STD samples for Spread the Disease. And what exactly are we going to need to do with said STD samples? Well, we're going to need to forcefully inject it into this poor little fella. And lastly, we're going to need to traffic the product, which requires us taking a nice stroll downtown, selling drugs to Franco's clientele, therefore taking money away from him, and anything that has to do with fucking Franco over, I can get behind. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to our next trial environment.
You are the scab that heals the wound. The union is the putrescent sore that infects with notions of a livable wage and a survivable workplace. An introduction, and we will let you out.
Welcome to the suburbs.
I'm in the motherfucking suburbs with it. Rah, bing, bow, bah. Hey, yo, Terry, fuck going on?
The main trial that we'll be doing here is Liquidate the Union, where we're gonna need to go to the town hall and hear Franco's speech after hearing that they're trying to break the line.
What is this Pinkerton scalping fuck job bullshit? That speech was fucking beautiful! The fuck is wrong with you? Huh? You scab motherfuckers. You trying to break the fucking line? Gonna get my friend comfortable, then you things are fucked.
To be honest, I think that's the most rational and real Franco has ever been, but that still doesn't stop me from wanting to break his jaw with the Iron Gym from Black Ops 3. But after the speech, we're gonna need to break into the Union boss's mansion, break him out of his safe, and escort him throughout the suburbs.
I'm in the motherfucking suburbs with it.
And do a bunch of stupid frequency codes, escort him to a different area of the suburbs.
I'm in the motherfucking suburbs with it.
And do even more stupid frequency codes, and then finally take him to the factory where we'll drown him in blood. And after that, we'll get out and start doing the MKs for the suburbs, like Get Out the Vote, which needs us to go around the suburbs, going door to door, collecting votes for the upcoming election. And the last MK we'll need to do here is Disrupt the Neighborhood, which just requires us doing the same stupid frequency code bullshit from Liquidate the Union all over again. And with that being said, we're finally done dealing with that piece of shit Franco, and we're on our way to our very last trial environment. And I have to say, new reagent, I'm extremely proud of you for coming this far. And as you could have probably figured, since we're done dealing with Franco, we're finally going to be meeting that final prime asset, and there are no words to describe the ungodly and unimaginable disgusting horrors of this next prime asset.
Vile beast!
Of our identities.
Only beasts of burden, needing leadership.
A new archetype has arrived. Forebears of tradition, an enduring moral order, forced into shadows by the circumstances of their biology, elevated to wealth and power by sheer force of will. Otto and Aurora Kress. Sister dear.
Yes, lover?
These rough beasts would like to make our acquaintance.
Two very different kinds of genius. Her gifted in chemistry, him gifted in politics. Opposite and complementary tools of manipulation. Always watching, never out of reach. The fountainhead of a medicated and managed future.
For himself, Otto is a politician, as his sister Aurora is a chemist, but they are both the head of the Kress chemical company, the very same chemical responsible for their disfiguration. And as you probably picked up from their dialogue,
Sister dear.
Yes, lover?
Otto and Aurora are not just siblings, but also lovers. But I mean, I guess that's one way to deal with the cards you're dealt. Otto and Aurora are the current prime assets to only one trial environment, that being the shopping mall. But, as I mentioned before, the Outlast Trials is a live service game, so Otto and Aurora will additionally get more trial environments later on down the line, like the supposed resort and neighborhood trial environments. But until then, be very careful in this shopping mall, as Otto carries around a huge handheld circular saw. Because he's quite big, he's a little bit slower. But don't worry, his sister Aurora will throw flasks of poison at you that will make you vomit in your place, giving Otto more than enough time to catch up. I don't know if you've quite picked up on it yet, but Murkoff is attempting to create quite the twisted family with the prime assets here at the Sinyala Facility, with Coyle being the father figure, Gooseberry being the mother, and that stupid little bitch Franco being the baby, and Otto and Aurora being the grandparents. So now that we know more about that incestuous couple waiting for us, let's move on to our very last trial environment.
You are the cleansing flood that washes away the lies. If the people are allowed to choose leaders who poison the well of obedience with the bile of history, then we must drown those leaders in that self-same bile. Kill the politician, cleanse his bones of flesh, and let you out.
Welcome to the shopping mall. Once we're here, we must do the main trial. I don't think, given recent events, I should verbally say that with my voice. But after gaining access to the mall, we must collect enough fuses to open the department store to participate in the shopping event and win a ticket to go to the event in the mall. After that, we must fix a couple water pressure valves around the mall, and then we need to play a friendly shooting water gun game with the Mr. Nice politician man, and after that, we must get the hell out of there. Currently, the shopping mall doesn't have any MK challenges, but that's okay, because of all the drugs Murkoff has dumped into me, and that beating I took by the Jaeger, I completely forgot to go over the MK challenges for the police station. And since the shopping mall doesn't have any, what other better time to explain it than now? So, circling back to the police station, we're gonna have to cancel the autopsy by going around the basement of the police station and collecting keys to shred dead bodies. Next, we'll have to sabotage the lockdown, which just requires us to navigate the basement of the prison to fuel the generator to help us escape. And after, we're going to need to eliminate the past, as we must destroy historical records, and the more historical records we destroy, the easier the exit rush will be. Moving on to release the prisoners, we must find a key in each section of the prison to release the prisoners. And I hope you don't want to become a cop or anything, or we're going to have to teach the police officer, and that's going to be one of the most annoying and dreadful MKs in the entire game. But now that I've explained all of that, let's head back to the sleep room, because there's still one question that you asked in the beginning that I haven't answered. But before I answer that final question, while you're playing any of these trials or MKs, you might eventually get a little bit bored, but don't worry, there are 2 additional game modes that the Outlast Trials offers to help shake up the gameplay. Firstly, we have my favorite game mode, and the one I play the most, Escalation. Escalation is basically the Outlast Trials Endless mode, as you start off with none of your upgrades, a randomized rig, and at the beginning of each level, you get to pick one random upgrade. From there, you'll be put into a complete random MK challenge that we'll need to complete. And I didn't mention this earlier, but during every trial or MK challenge, we also have a secondary objective. Most of the time, the secondary objective will just be propaganda posters, which we can find all over the walls in the trial environments. In regular trials and MKs, completing the secondary objective just rewards us with more XP and additional rewards, but in Escalation, the secondary objective is very important, as if completed, when we finish the level, we will be given an additional upgrade. But in Escalation, there are multiple other secondary objectives other than just propaganda posters, like finding drug rats, having to put out fires, or break TVs. And as we proceed through each MK challenge, the difficulty will increase and more variators will be thrown into the mix. What are variators, you might ask? Variators are the main thing that shake up the gameplay in Escalation, and there are a lot of them. With certain ones paired together, it can absolutely make your trial 10 times more difficult. And as much as I would love to go over every variator, there are a lot of them, but I'll go over a few of them so you'll get an idea of what additional threats we'll have to face. Prime time, like I mentioned earlier, allows any prime asset, even multiple of them, to be in the trial environment at once. The Jaeger modifier makes sure the Jaeger is always hunting someone down in the trials. Toxic Shock will play a sound effect, and everyone needs to get into a hiding spot or they'll lose health to toxic gas. And there's some criminally insane ones like no running, stay together, and no upgrades. But don't worry, it's not just MK challenges, because every 10th level you'll be doing a trial, those really big ones, so make sure you and your team are prepared. Lastly, the other game mode is the Trial Maker. That allows you to create your very own trials, but it's not in depth as you might think. all you can do is change up the variators and mess around with the name. And with so many Trials, MKs, and additional game modes, that's a lot of XP to earn. So, as you level up and use your vouchers to upgrade your reagent in the Trials, once you hit level 100, next time you complete a Trial or an MK, while in the evaluation hallway, you can go to this doctor's room, and from there you'll have the ability to relapse. Because that's right, you sick fuck, you're so addicted to this therapy that you're even choosing to do it instead of getting out. And every time you relapse, you'll basically prestige. After doing so, you'll lose all your previously unlocked abilities, but in return, you'll get 1 permanent unlock token per relapse. And also within the trial environment, you can find evidence documents that will supply you in-game lore that you can access in the radio in your sleep room. Additionally, if you want even more lore, you can head over to the official Red Barrel's website and read the official Outlast comics that tie into the in-game story. And as much as I would love to yap your ear off about the lore, I would totally recommend watching this Gaming Harry video on the Outlast Trials lore, as I think it is the perfect video to fully understand the lore of the game. So with that being said, let me answer that very final question: how exactly do we get out of here? Well, there was a girl named Amelia who hatched a plan, and actually got a few reagents out of this hellhole, but they had to go through a human crusher that they were not meant to survive, and they had to go through where this facility dumps all of its garbage and trash. And even though me and you would do that to get out of your new reagent, that was only a limited time event that can no longer be accessed. But since we basically endured everything together, you might notice that you have a lot of these release tokens. Once you have 100 release tokens, you can go up to the guard in the sleep room, and with a team or solo, you can finally rebirth.
Rebirth. Here's my year. The Sinyala Facility has probably been very traumatizing, but we're closing in at the very end of your therapy. I am so very proud of you. You can finally tear off the skin that confines you, and in a moment of bliss, feel the fresh air on your flesh that is no longer confined by the constraints of your skin, as you can finally go on. And rebirth.
And when selecting Rebirth, you'll get the choice to either rebirth solo or with a group. If you do it in a group, you will be put into a random MK challenge, your screen will be mirrored, and you'll have to do 2 unique mandatory secondary objectives, like more frequency puzzles and even having to locate your own dead body. And there will also be an unknown random variator. But I wanted to focus on the solo rebirth. So where exactly will they be sending you new reagent? Well, as you remember earlier, I mentioned the Farewell Mansion was the only trial environment that could be played solo. So just like where you started the game, this is also where you'll be leaving.
The trials are inside you now. If you can survive one final test, you can leave this place. This is the hostile womb from which you must claw your way to freedom, to power, to history. You will be a perfect weapon, the most innocent child ever born. You're the future.
This will be the true test to put everything you've learned in the trial environments to use by yourself, as you are completely by yourself and given a series of objectives that you must complete to get out. And what kind of mansion would it be without a party? Because while in the Farewell Mansion, just about any prime asset can spawn in. But once you finally complete your objective, you can finally escape. Well, I mean, if you consider getting completely brainwashed and used for whatever Murkoff needs you to do for their bidding, like assassinating people, or just becoming a sleeper agent.
Hey!
So cute and
Who are you people?
just look at your little face.
What do you want from me?
Sorry. Did you sleep okay?
Fuck you!
What time is it?
Kiss my ass!
But I've actually heard sweet stories of some reagents that go on to live somewhat of okay lives.
I know God doesn't hear dead men, but I expect he answers them.
So I hope now that you've gotten out of the Sinyala facility, hopefully you can live an okay life before you hear spider, eye, lamb. And if you're unfortunate enough to hear those activation words when you get out, expect some pretty weird shit to happen. That's because Spider Eye Lamb is the activation phrase for the reagents who have gotten out of the Sinyala facility and become sleeper agents under Murkoff's control. Whenever they hear Spider Eye Lamb, they will basically submit and do whatever Murkoff programmed them to do.
Spider Eye Lamb.
Ranging from killing people in China to committing mass bombings, kidnapping children, or getting caught by the cartel.
What does this mean? Spider Eye Lamb.
Or even getting assaulted by the Skinner Man.
Spider Eye
Or if you're a very, 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 very lucky specimen, even getting sent to the one and only Mount Massive Asylum to be tested on the very early stages of the Wall Rider program.
Been in that cell for weeks. We had to allow for altitude adjustment. Wernicke's proposal requires a robust immune system.
Good luck, then. There's almost as much tumor in this scan as gray matter. I guess if it's a lethal experiment, we might as well use somebody who's as good as dead. If we only wanted to dispose of a corpse, we wouldn't have made the trip to Colorado. What you're calling tumors, maybe is the fingerprints of a god. What's that supposed to mean? What happens when somebody gets touched by a god? Usually they are smoked. But sometimes, very rarely,
But now that you're out of here, I doubt any of that will happen to you, because I know you were a very strong-willed person who won't break under the pressure of Murkoff. So get out of here and go live your best life that you deserve, new reagent. Speaking of which, I am so proud on how far you have come, new reagent. From when I met you, I didn't know if you were going to be able to survive these trials, but you have proven yourself to be quite the survivalist. Hopefully, you're not too traumatized and can return to a peaceful life. But please, and I mean please, do not join any cults in the Arizona desert. Please. But don't worry about me, new reagent, or as I finally feel comfortable calling you, my brand new friend, as I'm right behind you, wrapping up my time here at the Farewell Mansion, and I'm just about to get out of here with you, and we'll finally be free from the Sinyala facility together. I just need to get to the other end of this hallway and get to that door. And because I'm a unrenowned goat of the Outlast trials, nobody will be able to stop me.
Hey, you little party hat wearing fuck! I've been hearing all that shit you've been saying about me in this video, and especially in the trial shuttle.
Oh shit, it's Franco! How did I know you would be the last thing standing in my way of freedom, you little lip dick baby fuck? I'm getting out of this facility, and you're not gonna stop me. And I'm gonna talk all the shit that I want, because your Lupara and Trip mines are the most migraine-inducing thing in the universe. So get the hell out of my way, you little fuck. And don't forget, I'm an unrenowned goat of the Outlast trials, and you're just a little baby who can't get a boner without the help of his stepmother. So I'm just gonna run away from you and get out of here. Oh shit, it's a dead end. Fuck, this is what I would call
epic bad luck.
And now, you got nowhere to fucking run. You self-proclaimed, unrenowned goat of the Outlast Trials?
Shit! Fuck you, Franco! You can't kill me, because I must join the new reagent. No! My new friend! On escaping the Sinyala Facility together. We must escape together. I promised them. And I know you won't do anything to me, you piece of shit, because I'm an unrenowned goat of the Outlast Trials!
Finally, I fucking got him. I killed that little PNG party hat wearing dog piece of shit. And now, I'm in control here. Behave, you better give Chucky that goddamn Phantom of the Opera skin. And everybody here better fucking subscribe, you understand? Or I'll get my Lupara and blow all you fucking brains out. Thank you so much for watching, and good fucking bye.